Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about Falls Church, Virginia. Falls Church is 6 miles west of DC, and it's comprised of several neighborhoods which have very, very distinct and different personalities. What we're talking about today is what we're actually calling the rest of Falls Church. So people think Falls Church, a lot of times what they're thinking of is Falls Church City, and that is indeed a place, and it is adjacent to, but not part of, the rest of Falls Church, which is part of Fairfax County. Falls Church City stands on its own. In Virginia, there's actually a law that says that cities have to be completely separate from the counties. So unlike places where you'll see where Miami is part of Dade County and Dallas is part of Dallas County and Atlanta is part of Fulton County, it's not like that here. So Falls Church City is completely on its own and is not part of Fairfax County. What we are talking about today is the Falls Church that is Fairfax County.
Yeah, and the parts of Falls Church that we're going to discuss today are actually Lake Barcroft, West Falls Church, Homes Run Acres, Bailey's Crossroads, Seven Corners, and Pimmit Hills. And there's also a tiny part of Merrifield that is actually a part of Falls Church, but it actually is technically a Fairfax address, even though it's very hard to change my mind about that.
Agreed. So I am Melissa Terzis. This is
Michael.
And we work together and we do our stuff, and this is the channel. And so we're going to talk to you today about Falls Church. Location and transportation. So Falls Church is inside the Beltway, and I actually feel like Falls Church is kind of a catch-all for a lot of different areas and neighborhoods that don't maybe have their own mailing address, so they've got a Falls Church mailing address. Locally, you're going to hear people refer to the individual neighborhoods as if it's like that's where they live or that's their own town. So, and it's fascinating that they aren't, because they all really can be so different. So as far north as like Pimmit Hills down to West Falls Church, Seven Corners, and Lake Barcroft, they're all part of Falls Church. As far as highways, though, you are super well connected here. You've got the Beltway, which goes on the western edge. You have 66, which goes through here, the Dulles Toll Road 267, and then you've got a couple main thoroughfares, which is Route 50 Arlington Boulevard and 29, which was formerly Lee Highway and is now in places like Langston Boulevard.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how easily commutable Falls Church is. Like, it's probably one of the best areas to live in if you have a commute or you have a varied commute. I have a lot of clients who live there who actually, work in different areas, and that was one of the reasons it was kind of like split the difference for the couples, because one had to be in one area and one had to be in another.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was super easy.
That makes sense. There's also Metro. There's stops in West Falls Church and Dunloring, which is like Merrifield. That was kind of that little part of Merrifield that we were saying. It's like Fairfax, but yeah, they call it Falls Church as well.
Yeah, the redevelopment of the Dunloring Metro stop has been really great. It looks really great over there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into real estate next. So it's not easy to make blanket statements about Falls Church real estate because, like we said, the areas are really so different. Overall, though, just know that you can get a single family home detached starting in the 500s. Michael didn't believe me, but I had to show him the video here. I'm like, here we go.
It's wild that they're still there.
They are, and they're livable. They're not just teardowns, but you can find homes in Falls Church in the 500s all the way up to $3 million if you want. This is probably one of the widest range of prices that we've seen in some of these neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And then the average price is $1.065 million, and the median price is $865,000. Townhomes are mostly in the 600,000s to the 800,000 range. There are lower and higher prices. Condos can start honestly in the high 100s, and they can go up to like 600,000. So we should zoom in, though, I think, on some of the different areas, because sort of giving you that high-flying overview is not really going to tell you much whether or not you want to be in Falls Church or not. We have to drill down and zoom in a little bit further. So Pimmit Hills, for example, is drastically different than Lake Barcroft. So Pimmit Hills is a CDP, that's a census-designated place inside the Beltway that really for many I would say like decades had kind of seen its better days, right?
Yeah.
So it started in the 1950s as a neighborhood where they were building these like the small starter ranch rambler kind of houses for the GIs coming back from both World War II and Korea. So that was sort of the time frame there that they were doing. And a lot of the houses were just like the 3-bedroom, 1-bath style house. And then I think the neighborhood kind of fell into like disrepair. So I would say like 20 years ago, this was not a destination where people wanted to live, right? Like it just wasn't a thing anybody asked for. And then 10 years ago, people kind of started quietly coming in, tearing houses down, fixing them up. And then that sort of started like this different level of a boom for Pimmit Hills that it's now seeing. The location inside the beltway and the really close proximity that Pimmit Hills has to 66, to the Dulles Toll Road. I mean, it was just like sort of a no-brainer that somebody was going to come in and say this would be an absolutely perfect place to start redevelopment, tear down houses, and all that. So there are a lot of flips here. There are lots of houses for which they seem like they're hugely overgrown for the lot on which they sit. And the prices of these homes are actually like approaching and in excess of $2 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's because Pimmit Hills is so close to Arlington and Tyson's and everything,
right,
that people live there for the cheaper price. They can have the big house that they want, and they're right off 66. It is insane how close it is to 66.
Right.
And not in a bad way, though. That's really awesome. It's a very easy commute there.
Right.
And so that's why it's become so attractive. It's because you can still take advantage of Arlington and Tyson's, but not have the price tag.
Well, that leads me well into my fun facts about Pimmit Hills, of which I have a few. The first one is that locally, there's a lot of shade thrown at Pimmit Hills on like the anonymous real estate boards and things like that here. You're going to see that there's Pimmit Hills boosters where they're like, yeah, Pimmit Hills is the best thing ever. And then you're going to see that people are like, that place sucks. Your mileage may vary as always. It's just been hard for people to grasp that this is now a $1 million plus up to $2 million neighborhood after all the years where people were sort of watching it just become very run down. Second, the TV show My Name is Earl. I never watched it, but I did hear of it. They had a trailer park. The trailer park where the show took place actually was named the Pimmit Hills trailer park or whatever, and it was because the creator of the show grew up in Pimmit Hills. So those are your fun facts.
Yeah, it's understandable why the prices have gone up. I mean, you can walk to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. So,
totally.
How many neighborhoods can say that in the suburbs?
Right. Well, all right. Next up is West Falls Church. This is also a CDP, census designated place, but nobody knows why, because there is a very long history here where West Falls Church used to be called Jefferson, they say, prior to 2010. I never remember it being called that. Never.
I grew up here.
I commuted through it every day for a couple years and never remember it being called Jefferson, not once, maybe other than some street names or parks or something. I don't know. Nobody ever called it that. At another point, it was also South Falls Church, which, that was essentially named South Falls Church to distinguish it from Falls Church City, which was to the north. And that was basically due to the residents' desire to separate themselves from the Black population of South Falls Church, which, as you know, became Jefferson and then became West Falls Church, and like nobody calls it any of that now. So that's that. Housing in the West Falls Church area is more modest than what you are going to see in Pimmit Hills, which we just discussed. This is there's a lot of redevelopment here too. There's tear downs, there's McMansions. It's just not as widespread though as it is in Pimmit Hills.
Yeah.
So, but you will see it. Next up is Seven Corners, also a CDP, believe it or not, with a population of less than 10,000. Seven Corners is mostly a retail and commercial area with lots of stores, grocery, restaurants, and other conveniences like our favorite Target that we go to all the time in this family. There's Home Depot there, PetSmart, Barnes & Noble. There's some homes in this little geographic postage stamp, which, you'll find almost every home type here with prices from the 800s into the low 1 millions.
Yeah.
Yep. And Seven Corners, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but it used to be very, very bougie. All right, the next up is Lake Barcroft. So that's also a census designated place. Another CDP for you here. Within Falls Church, it's comprised of 1,000 homes. 1 in 4 houses are actually on the lake. And the lake used to be a reservoir for the city of Alexandria. I just find this hilarious. And then they converted it into a recreational lake for the use of the residents that are nearby. And then it's got all kinds of amenities. There's an association fee of $4.95 a year. And if you are not part of Lake Barcroft and they find you in there, the Fairfax County Police can come for you and take you away. So the Lake Barcroft was actually developed in the 50s by the mid-century architect Walter Gropius was his name. I don't know. It's a very strange name. Walter Gropius. He wanted to create what he called a nursery for children. He wanted the houses to all have barbecue pits in the front yards and for there to be just like flowing hills of flowers and trees and vegetation and all of that stuff for the children. So there are 5 private beaches. Like I said, you can access them only if you are a resident there. If you don't live there, they'll come for you. The sense of community is very strong in Lake Barcroft. Very, very strong. They've got a lot of events throughout the year.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so because of the access to water, the prices here can get well into the 2 millions. Very, very exciting. But you can find homes that are a couple streets back from the water in the 800s to under $1 million price point.
Yeah.
There's also Homes Run Acres, which is another neighborhood that is by the Beltway. It's west of Falls Church, but southeast of like Merrifield. So it's sort of on the edge there.
Yeah.
Southeast of the Mosaic District as well, which is like another great shopping area. So this is a mid-century community of 355 homes.
Yeah.
And they are priced from the 700s into the 1 million price point. Homes Run Civic Association is very, very active. They are responsible for creating both the first community swimming pool in Fairfax County as well as the first neighborhood park in Fairfax County. So that's kind of like a claim to fame. And then the Civic Association is very, very busy.
They're super active. It's one of my favorite places to sell real estate. It's architecturally significant. It's so beautiful.
And they have like book clubs and all kinds of like fun things that you can do there.
Yeah, and there's so much nature in the neighborhood. It's pretty incredible because they back up to the park. And so you'll see all kinds of wildlife, which is really fun.
Yeah, they've got a website which is really good. So definitely check that out if you want more information there.
Yep.
All right, want to move on to food?
Yes.
Okay. Moving right along to food. That's your department, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So, kind of in the same vein of our conversation today, each one of these neighborhoods is going to have their own individual shopping and retail areas, restaurant scene, everything. So especially with Pimmit Hills, they can actually go into Tyson's, they can go into Vienna,
right.
They can go into Falls Church City, but then you also have the 2 shopping centers, 2 of the big shopping centers that have Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. They have a lot of small restaurants in there. There's some chains. So you have a pretty good variety, Then when we actually go over to West Falls Church, that's where you're starting to get into even more variety because West Falls Church is, the Mosaic District, Merrifield area.
Right.
And so you're going to have Thai, ramen, you're going to have, Greek cuisine, you're going to have Ted's Bulletin. You're also going to have, True Food, which is one of my favorite restaurants, and we can't forget about your favorite restaurant.
Sweetwater Tavern! So good!
But there are so many options in that area, and there's more that we're not even covering. Because there's just such a plethora, and then in regards to grocery stores in that area as well, you've got Mom's right in Mosaic, then you've got H Mart, you have Great Wall Shopping, grocery, and then you've got Safeway, Lidl, Aldi. Mm-hmm. There's just so much in that area. It's incredible. And so you also have a huge Target in Mosaic as well,
Yep.
So it's really does make a big difference, in that area because it's just, there's so much to offer.
Yeah. So
I think that's one of the really cool things, and then also, you can still head into all the different areas even when you're in West Falls Church, and then Lake Barcroft and 7 Corners, that's really where we're going to, start to see where you're going to have to kind of go outside of the neighborhood other than, there's a really big Asian influence of restaurants in that area. There's some small chains that are in that area, but like look at the Eden Center. It's like the Asian mecca of grocery stores. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely incredible. If you've never been there, I highly recommend that you go check it out. It's one of the coolest things about our area. Mm-hmm. And so, there is that influence, but you can also go in again to Arlington, Annandale, right. Tyson's. There's so many options. And then you go over to Bailey's Crossroads, which is really incredible. They have a lot of stuff over there. It's going to be a lot of chains, but there's also a lot of small places, some really great Peruvian chicken places that I love. There's the German Grocer, which is really awesome. It's a really wonderful German grocery that has a full market and deli. And so it's a great place to check out. It's easy to pass. So, but I definitely recommend it being worth a visit. You've got Trader Joe's and Giant. You've got some other grocery stores that are over there, another Target. So there's just so many options in the area that each one is its own little space.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really cool. That's one of the things that I love about Falls Church is that you can go into one section at Falls Church and then cross over into another section, you feel like you're not even in Falls Church
I know.
anymore.
For years, I thought Bailey's Crossroads was actually Arlington.
Yeah, a lot of people do actually.
Yeah, I was like, this is Falls Church?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And then some people think it's Alexandria because it's right on the border.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting area with a lot of really, global and international influence. And so there's just so much to do. It's I don't know, it's a really great area. I shop there a lot, and so do you.
Yep. Yeah, we're at that Target all the time.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about fun. So there are lots of parks here with lots to do and access to trails. There's actually Upton Regional Park. It's got a Arlington mailing address because it's on the very south edge of Arlington, but it's essentially in the Seven Corners area. They have a water park there, which is pretty awesome. They have trails, they have mini golf, they have batting cages. There's also Bowl America, which is in Seven Corners, and then Pimmit Hills has several pocket parks, plus the proximity to Tyson's for shopping. Holmes Run Stream Valley Park has a trail that runs through it along the border of Falls Church and Annandale. And then there's Jefferson District Park, which has a playground, mini golf, tennis, and basketball courts. And then you want to check out their website as well because they've got tons of stuff on there, as well as Fairfax County Park Authority. Then kids and schools. So Falls Church is served by Fairfax County Schools. Remember that the city of Falls Church is separate. So when you hear a lot of times that like Falls Church schools are amazing, you have to clarify which Falls Church they're talking about. The Falls Church City School is a very small district, but there's only like a couple schools there, and it's just like top of the marks. The high school pyramids for Falls Church are going to be Marshall or McLean High Schools if you live in the Pimmit Hills area, and both of those are 7s on great schools. Falls Church High serves essentially the western edge of Falls Church, and then Justice High School serves Lake Barcroft, Bailey's Crossroads, and the Seven Corners area. Both of those high schools are 3s on great schools. So we talked about real estate prices. You kind of want to think that the real estate prices sort of mimic like what is happening there with the schools, right? So the better high schools have the higher real estate prices. The high schools that don't rank as well have the lower real estate prices. So it's, everything kind of equals out as always. Just something to keep in mind. Important things to know about the academics in Falls Church and Fairfax County. Different schools are going to offer different things. Everything you're going to see from the International Baccalaureate to advanced academics. Some schools are also Title I, which means that the demographic has a higher rate of poverty in the community, so the school is eligible for more funding. The advanced academics programs range from level 1 to a tier 4, which means there's like full-time advanced academics in the school in the core subjects, which are English, math, social studies, and science. Those schools like Lemon Road Elementary, Westgate, West Lawn, Graham Road, and Timber Lane all provide tier 4 programs, meaning there's like that option to be full-time advanced in those core classes. So elementary and middle school scores kind of run the gamut, but most of the scores here are like, in the middle of the road average. So you may wonder why an area as prestigious as Falls Church has school scores that are kind of like a little bit lagging. So don't forget first that the testing, we talk about this in every video, but it's convoluted and it's tricky, right? So for somebody who doesn't have English as a first language, navigating what these tests are actually asking you can be exceptionally difficult. Even if you're somebody like me, for whom English is the first language, sometimes I look at these questions, I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind. And then you also have to understand that there are parts of Falls Church that have significant populations for which English is not their first language. Oddly enough, this is like another fun fact. West Falls Church alone has claim as the 5th largest community in the United States of people from Bolivia.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I would not have thought it was Bolivian because you see Peruvian restaurants, you see Asian restaurants, you don't see Bolivian restaurants.
Not
like
a lot.
I can't think of what like Bolivian food would be.
Yeah.
But I'm down for trying it.
Yeah.
So that's Falls Church.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, it's just such a dynamic area.
Yeah, it's one of the most diverse areas. But it's larger geographically, which kind of explains why.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I would probably say it's one of the most welcoming areas in our entire region. It's just so cool. Everybody is just, just runs the gamut, and it's fun.
Yeah,
I love it.
For sure.
There's something for everyone, and it's a really welcoming place.
You say that in all our videos.
I know. I just love this area. I grew up here.
All right. Well, that's Falls Church. If you have any questions, our contact info is coming next.
Money.